Now it's a little bit different how we learn it today and how we get to that information with technology. But the core is still the same, that a young cook somewhere in the world, regardless of gender and color, is excited about, I'm going to go into that field. And then locally she or he is thinking about who in that community can take me in, and then hopefully to the next level. And then they need that mentor, that person that says yes. I remember the first time I said yes, chef. I didn't know why I couldn't just say yes, Johan, or yes, Bengt. And then these other kids were nice, and the old men, they were 22 years old. They were telling me, don't even look him in the eyes. And I also remember the first time somebody said yes, chef to me. And a lot of in Yes, Chef is also this book about so much that happened to me on the journey. It was also an observation of how not to manage a kitchen. As great as all these grand chefs were, I also learned a lot of how not to manage a kitchen. When I started cooking, there was no women in the kitchen. And that was very confusing to me, because all the people that inspired me in cooking were women. There was no people of color. And I say no, it doesn't even, I would even include dark hair in that conversation. So it's very clear what to do and what not to do, right? You want to have a 50-50 kitchen, when it's 50% women, 50%. But you want to have an open kitchen in terms of all kinds. But you know, in cooking, we search for bitter, and we search for spicy, and we search for acidity, and all these great things. And in life, you want to sort of not get stuck on bitter, but you want to, there's going to be some spicy moments, and you just figure out how to. Sometimes it's good with acidity because you can cut through, right? So that's the one thing I wanted to talk about in Yes Chef as well. And also explain and offer a conversation about race, that a black man's journey is different. It's not the only person that is different, but here's a narrative that is different, and how race has played a part in my journey, and how carefully you have to craft your working life around that. And it was interesting to create conversation about race that is not polarized, because there's so few chat rooms where people from all kinds are curious and want to learn more and want to ask questions that they might, where can they ask these questions, because they might get pointed at, like, why are you asking me this, or you'd be so quick on jumping the gun on these questions in terms of race. And I think the opportunity is to offer a great place for these conversations, because they're hard for everyone. And obviously that helped me in the sense that my cousins were Korean, and my aunt was Jewish, and my parents were white, and my sisters were black. So we had, you know, dinner at the Samuelssons was just a melting pot, and essentially prepared me for the 21st century much earlier probably than I could have or should have. So there's so many reasons why Yes Chef, and it took me a long time. Every time it took 5 years. Every time I thought about it, I felt either unsure that I didn't know myself well enough to tell the story the way I wanted to tell it, or that there's something really that was going on in my life. I think to cook and to be the chef that you want to be is to get to know yourself. And I think that's the one thing I do know very well about myself, is that I do know myself very well. I know what makes me tick. I know what the overall agenda with my purpose of working is, and my struggles with balancing work and life. And I know, I mean, these are the things that I learned about myself. I want to explain also so much about the laborer, regardless of color. Kitchen was, being a chef has only been a profession in this country since 1977. Doesn't mean that we didn't cook before that, of course we cooked, but as a profession. And that offers then different challenges and opportunities in a community like Harlem, where people cooked all the time, or served all the time. But maybe not growing up saying, hey, I'm going to be a chef. because it wasn't a profession. And the last end of the book talks a lot about Harlem coming to this community of truly New York. And I think Harlem represents many inner cities in all over the country and all over the world. It might look a little bit different in each city, but there is a food casting going on that is very, very strong in each city. And for me as a chef, what is my overall purpose besides filling my restaurant? Do I have one? Do I have a responsibility? Maybe some chefs say they don't, and that's completely fine. But for me, I think the times where I really got checked in life was 9/11 and with the economic downturn. The weekend before 9/11, I cooked at Windows of the World, and I will never forget that. I think all of us here, or all of us, deal with 9/11 or dealt with 9/11 so different. For me, it really was the turning point of asking those questions, and making deeper commitment to New York, to my craft, and said, okay, I got to move to Harlem. I have to figure out a way to bridge the footprint of dining. Why is it my choices of amenities should go down just because I go north of 96th Street? How can it be that we can search and find any information about any person in this room in 5 seconds or 10 seconds? And if I would go out and ask you the same thing in the middle of August and try to find the fresh tomatoes in inner cities in America, you can't find them. So we've come really far if you want to know about an ingredient, if you're sitting in your living room, but we've really gone backwards in terms of getting seasonal ingredients in certain communities in America. So that's not, for me, I don't think it's food deserts, because I come from the desert. I know how deserts look like. In America, there's very few deserts. I don't think it's food apartheid. Maybe it's more Jim Crow than food apartheid. But it's food casting. Food is there. We just decided where the fresh food is going to go in and when it's not going to go in. And so with Red Rooster, it's not the answer to all of that. It starts and sparks and engage people in that conversation. And that's what we're doing. When I go back to Harlem and Brooklyn, that's right. I think if that boom comes in your neighborhood, it's boom. You still are not where we need to be. But to say it's booming, it's not. We're on the journey and we definitely make some progression. But these are the amenities that is not actually big loss of gold. To have access to fresh corn in August and September, apples and apples, that's not even tradable that anyone would say would be a progress. That's normal behavior. So I do think that, but all these challenges also offer an opportunity for me to know the compass of how I should hire and what we should do. So we have 110 employees. 75% of them come from the community, they're in and of that community. And that does a big difference in a community that has 19% unemployment. It's not really built to a booming community. Among African American men, 39%. So when I hire with that compass in mind, and we've been able to be extremely successful and have a lot of people that come with us to this fun, inspirational vision. We have, and we're not, what I want to offer in the book was also that just because on the outside that looks successful does not mean that we're not struggling, does not mean that we don't have, inner, battles, but those are the challenges that we have, and we're excited about them, and I know it's better to do it than not to do it, stand on the sideline. I think that's for all of us. We have things that we want to challenge and want to get inspired by, and that's what Yes Chef offers in the landscape of, I've read a lot of books where you know less about the person, putting it down 250 pages later than you did going in. So that was good, because I knew I didn't want to write a book like that. So I'm extremely fortunate, excited. I've cooked across the country over the last 20 days. These great restaurants, and we translated the book into yummy, delicious food. And it's been a lot of fun to see where American food is today. I think it's better than ever, more exciting than ever in different communities. We've done events in Oakland, to Austin, to wonderful places in New Orleans honoring Leah Chase. We've had events happen throughout. My neighbor, just half a block away north from me, Sylvia Woods, passed away. So there's all these things that are happening inside the town. But I think I'm happy and proud that Just Chef is out, and it's doing really well. So I'm excited. Questions. With that, we break into questions.